He is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of the sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay, because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, my name is Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja, and as a former banker, former introvert, former pastor, and former high-ticket seven-figure sales ninja, I now help grow and scale businesses like yours without the need for pushy tactics. That is the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach from the Bible in 1 Peter 3:15, which is built on trust, service, and true connection. My mission is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so you can sell more to give more. Today's guest is a strategist behind some of the fastest growing health brands, quietly building profit engines that speak louder than hype. With data, discipline, and a deep commitment to helping founders scale without chaos, he's helped scale major health brands to record-breaking months and is known for turning messy marketing into clear, predictable growth. Get ready to hear what actually moves the needle for founders who want predictable growth, cleaner margins, and marketing that finally pays for itself. Whether you're scaling a coaching brand, an e-commerce offer, or a service business, today's conversation will sharpen the way that you think about acquisition and conversion. So please welcome Mike King. Welcome, Mike, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Jay. Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Good to have you. So let's walk through, how it all started. How did the entrepreneurial journey start, and did it happen when you were a child because your parents were entrepreneurs? Where did it all start?
Somewhat. So part of my life story is I was raised half my life by my grandparents. My grandpa was a very successful home builder, so very much an entrepreneur in that. So I was around him, got to see what he did, and notice those things. I never really did anything entrepreneurial until high school, and the dot-com boom was kind of my first venture into things. Me and a buddy, I went to a seminar to learn how to build websites, and I partnered with my buddy, and we had this idea to take over the world with a lead generation website in the insurance industry, which was very new at that time. And so he knew a guy who owned an insurance company, and I was interested in the marketing and building it. So we worked together to do that and to set that up. And then when we finished it, we presented it to the guy, and he was like, "Are you crazy? No one's going to buy insurance over the internet," and completely crushed our dreams. So my buddy was like, "Hey, you can just buy the website from me. I'm going to go a different direction." This was kind of at the end of my high school career, and I was going to college to play basketball. So I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to have time for this. So we just kind of disbanded. But yeah, that was kind of, I guess, my first real taste of trying to be an entrepreneur.
Interesting. Did you say you went to go play basketball in college?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Were you a serious athlete?
You could say that. It was, it was D3. And then I was fortunate enough to play a little bit after that. So
Awesome. So, I mean, that's an accomplishment that many people do not ever achieve. So,
mhm.
what did being, a high level athlete teach you about entrepreneurship?
Oh yeah, I mean just discipline, right? To the ability to figure things out. And then it also helped just build on the foundation that I already had of like overcoming adversity. I had a very crazy and troubling childhood and upbringing with some pretty dramatic or traumatic things that happened. So just basketball on top of that really helped. My coach, bless him, he had this motto that he would always ingrain into us, and that was "What's next?" So that if you made a mistake, or even if you did something good, you didn't just you know create a tunnel vision around that. You automatically moved on to what's the next thing, what's the next objective, and that's served me well. My entire life of just okay, this thing happened. I can't control it, but like, what's next? You
Hmm.
know.
Amazing. I love that because a lot of coaches may not be that graceful or gracious, and just kind of, if you like, I know when I was coaching rep soccer, we played this very, very
Mhm.
high level team, and it was like, I don't know, 10-year-old girls when my daughter was 10.
Yeah.
And anytime one girl on the other team, which was really, really good, she was, running down the line and the ball just went slightly out and she got screamed at and taken off because she made a mistake. So people
Oh,
were very
wow.
afraid of making mistakes and they had to perform, which is why they were such a high performing team. But people that I knew that were on that team as well, that were incredible athletes, couldn't take the pressure because it was just militant. And so they left and did much better on other teams where they could thrive. So this is important that when people are getting coached like
Mhm.
yourself and you're coaching others, that we provide a safe environment. How do we balance the how do we balance the pressure of like trying to, push people and like push them forward to excellence and not get to the point where it's going to break people to the point where they feel manipulated or abused, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. A couple of things. First, I'm gonna send you an interview my trainer sent me. It's about the head coach at Penn State
Ooh,
wrestling,
yeah.
and they're like I think the second all-time winningest program
Wow.
wrestling, and it's just been recent, like within the last maybe 20 years, and he's completely changed that whole thing. And it's a great read on how you don't need to like yell at people, and like you can be calm and get like the best performance out of them. And one of the things he talks about in that is gratitude and approaching everything with not with the attitude of I have to do this, it's I get to do this.
Hmm.
Just that little change has made such a dramatic difference in their wrestling program, when it comes to everything. I think you find that interesting. Back to your direct question. Um, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm a man of faith, and I try to just listen to what God's telling me. I was an assistant varsity coach for I think 2, maybe 3 years, with one of my best friends growing up. He had a very successful program in Florida, and then he moved back here to Michigan and got a head coaching job and asked me to help him. So I did for a couple of years, and it was interesting. The first year we had a really good team, but in all honesty, the parents were horrible. Drove they drove the players apart,
Oh,
which was unfortunate. They still had a decent season, but they underachieved from what they had. So I learned a lot about that, with just trying to push these guys to get the most out of them. And how do you do that? In life, I'm not a good friend of mine said he told me I'm like the lion and the lamb. I'm
mhm.
very calm, gentle, until the lion needs to come out, so it's like figuring out and discerning when is the time for that. And I think that when you coach people, like if you just approach it the right way, you don't need to scream and manipulate and say things out of fear. You can just be direct with them and let them know that this is coming from a place of love, and that you're trying to get them to where they ultimately want to be, and accomplish the goals that they want to accomplish. And then the last thing I'll say is, just because this was such a mind-blowing movie for this question, there's a movie called Whiplash, and it's about this kid who goes to Juilliard to be a drummer. I think it was Juilliard, and his coach, or his professor or whatever, he tells the professor he wants to be the greatest drummer ever. And so it's just a great movie to watch, to see that dynamic of like, okay, what do you have to do to a person to make them the greatest? And and in the movie, it crosses the line into what maybe some people would consider abuse, whether it's mental or verbal abuse, to get this person to fulfill their dreams. So it's very thought provoking. I think if you check that out, I think
I think I've
you'd like it.
seen parts of it or all of it. Is that an
Okay.
example of what screaming and manipulation can get you, or was there an example of someone also giving feedback from a calm and a safe place of love? Was it the opposite, or was it of calm place out of love?
No, I wouldn't say that was from a calm place of love. But I think the interesting thing is that in that is like, he gets to this point where, he is really good, and he needs this push. In the crazy thing is you ask yourself, would he get to the same place if he didn't have that same aggressive push? And I
Mm,
don't know, maybe it's a question that you can't answer.
mm,
And I'll give you a quick anecdote. My grandpa was a military man, and like I said, I had a very traumatic childhood growing up, and there was a lot of struggles with my mom, who was her daughter, and our housing situations, and just different stuff in our family. And one time I was out in the barn with him, and he said, everyone thinks, I'm a big a-hole. And he goes, while that hurts me, he's like, I don't have a problem being that, if that's the perception they need in order to to make the most out of their lives. And now that I'm older and mature, like, I can see where he was coming from, because sometimes when you have to have a hard conversation, and even when it's done out of love, and you approach somebody and you say, "Hey, this is what you told me you wanted," and you're not doing the things that are going to get you what you said you wanted. There needs to be some sort of course correction. That person, they can either respond to that and say, "Okay, wow, thank you for holding me accountable. You are loving on me." Or, which unfortunately more often than not, they say, you know, derogatory things about you, or they think derogatory things, or maybe you're being mean to them, because maybe they just don't have the maturity at that time, to see what's really going on. So, my grandpa, bless his heart, he was very wise, but oftentimes he needed a little bit more tact in
mm.
how he approached things, for sure.
Wonderful. And we talked about coming from a place of love. And speaking of
Hmm.
love, when I saw a post from Mrs. King that says, "What are your love languages?" Her response was acts of vacation, words of confirmed flights, and quality trips. That was pretty savage.
Yeah, my wife, she loves to go on a vacation and check out new spots, for sure.
That's funny because and that's a play on words for Gary Chapman's five languages, love languages.
Yeah.
Is acts of love or acts of service.
Hmm.
What is it? Service, words of affirmation,
Yep.
gifts.
Hmm.
What was the other two?
Physical
Touch.
touch.
Yeah,
Yep.
touch and time.
Yep. And
Right.
time, quality time.
Speaking of which, you mentioned offline that and I was looking at your Facebook pictures where you have some Disney and Kauai and all these amazing trips, and you have this Grant Cardone Capital sweater on, and you told me that, very kind of as a like casual, as a matter of fact, that you manage some of Grant Cardone's businesses, and I thought, wow, that was just like a off the cuff remark, like that's pretty impressive. So how does one even get to that point of whether you're pitching him to say, hey, I like to work and grow your business? Like, not many people can say and do that. What did you do to even get there?
Yeah, that's a great story. One quick clarification. So I'm responsible for the marketing for those businesses and growing the P&Ls through the
Okay.
marketing. I don't necessarily manage the day-to-day operations on there. Yeah, so that's an interesting little thing. So where do I start? Okay, so I was in the finance industry doing mortgages for I think 15, 16, 17 years. And I got burnt out, and it was kind of like, what's next? And I always had this passion for marketing and entrepreneurship, and it was there on the side. The last couple of years of being in finance, I was doing various things, helping guys, in my office with LinkedIn marketing and outreach. And then that turned into one guy asking me if I could do Facebook ads. And I said, no, but if you buy me this course on how to do them, I'll run them for you. So that started getting my feet wet in that. And that expanded to run ads on other platforms and buying media and just growing as a marketer. And then I was talking to my business coach, and he was like, hey, you're getting really good at this. Your next goal should be is if you can get with a business where you can manage and be in control of the P&L, so that you can see directly how the marketing is affecting the P&L. That's your next step. And I was like, okay, and so being a man of faith, I just kind of like prayed for that type of opportunity. And lo and behold, I was in this mastermind group, and these guys were in there, and one of the guys was like, hey, Grant's looking to build an internal team for his marketing. If that's something that interests you, let me know and we can connect. And I felt like that might be the opportunity, but that it would be a long shot. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to approach this like probably everybody else. I'm going to use marketing to get their attention. And so, or storytelling, I should say, more so than marketing. So I don't know if you're familiar with the quarterback, Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, huge.
Yeah, right. So a lot of people don't know this, but I believe he was drafted it was the 6th round. He was like the 196th pick or something out of college. And if you pull up his picture from that, he's like wearing like a pit stain white t-shirt and like these khaki pants. And so I told the guys at Grant's company, I just said, hey, I really feel like I'm Tom Brady, not the 3-time MVP or that he is now, or maybe it's more, whatever, however many rings he has. I go, I'm more like the guy here. And I showed him a picture of him at the draft, where I have all this potential. I just need a little bit of coaching and more resources. And I feel like I could be one of the greatest of all time. And they love that, so they brought me in, and the first thing they tasked me with was running LinkedIn ads for one of the business lines that I manage now, which was Grant's Cardone University, which is his online sales training platform. And did pretty good at that. And they're very big on culture and meetings. The culture they have is tremendous there, and we could talk more about that if that's something you want to talk about. But
Sure.
I would just speak up in meetings and have all these ideas, because that's just me. I'm like, I can't hold back. If I see something, I'm gonna say something. And Jared, who is Grant's right hand man and runs everything, I think that he liked that, along with the guy who brought me in. And so they just started giving me more responsibility, and that business line was the first thing they put me in charge of, the whole thing, all of the figuring out all the marketing and the strategy for that and growing that P&L. And so Jared gave me 2 main objectives, and I was able to accomplish both those objectives on that line of business just under a year. And then the opportunity then was presented to me to take 10X Health, which is Grant's health company, and to start, well, I shouldn't say start, they were doing a little bit of paid advertising, but grow that. And so I said, sure, I'd love that challenge. And so I took that on about a year ago. And then last month we did about 3 million in revenue, all
Last
from
month.
paid ads. Yeah, all from paid ads. So that was exciting, just seeing all this come to fruition, and everything that went into it. We have a small team we've put together now because that was kind of a bottleneck from getting from like, you know, 1.5 million to 3 million. Like I couldn't do everything. I couldn't write all the ads. I couldn't, make all the ads and, shoot all the videos and edit them and stuff. I'm not a video editor or graphics. I mean, I'm okay. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll be like maybe a 5 or 6, but we needed to develop a team to kind of punch things up a little bit. So we were able to do that. And then most recently, I was put in charge of Grant's probably biggest line when it comes to marketing spend, and that was all uh, his real estate business. So currently, just getting my feet wet with that, and just learning the ins and outs of everything there, so that yeah, we can work on scaling that up the same way.
Okay. Wow. 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 Anyone listening to this, that's incredible. I love the approach, and I thank you for sharing that because, you use storytelling and marketing to get your foot in the door in such a crafty and a genius in a way that's genius, which is like not trying to say, hey, people typically, here's all my achievements, here's
Hmm.
all my accomplishments, here's all my awards, but you're like, here, I can be Tom Brady and I can be the next greatest thing, but I'm not that right now. I'm the Tom Brady with the draft 6th round 196 pick with the pit stained white shirt and the khaki pants. I've got
Yeah.
potential. I just need resources. I need some coaching. I can be one of the greatest if you'll give me an opportunity. It's like giving that chance to that person who's hungry, who's a hustler, who's willing to grind it out. People like that hunger because when you have talent and hard work always beats talent when talent is not willing to work hard, right?
Hmm.
Grant is watching, so thanks, Grant, for watching. I met him in the Gamma, which is a Gamma.app. I'll put that in here.
Okay.
I wasn't going to do that here. It's a Gamma. It's a, what do you call it? A slide deck generator that's really powerful. See, absolute accountability is a form of love. That's so powerful, right? Like that you're
Yeah,
giving
that's
that
good.
accountability, and the opportunities that you've gotten by just taking that, as Christians, as men of faith. When you're faithful with little, God will entrust you with much. When you're faithful with
Hmm.
little, God entrusts you with much. And you have all these different things with your ministry with, let me just look here, and Mike, your mentor. You have also the manhood masterclass where you help with retreats and no BS class for men who want to be better husbands, fathers, and friends. You also help people like Grant Cardone with their sales and with their acquisition costs, slashing those acquisition costs, reducing their CAC as much as 72%, and so much more. So amazing, amazing. So I'm learning a lot about you live. So this is pretty powerful. Let me ask you this next question. Uh,
Hmm.
to be able to get to where you are, with, becoming a high level basketball player, to be able to, run with the top, entrepreneurs in the world as we know it. Um, what personal habits or daily routines help you stay consistent and help you to level up to be able to keep up with the best of the best, to be one of the best?
Yeah. Well, first on the faith side, just diligently trying to spend time hearing from God. So reading my Bible, praying, surrounding myself with other men of faith, that can speak into me, um, you know, and give me straight up advice, right? And then I can share what's really going on my life. On the business side, um, it's just looking at my numbers every day. I was telling someone yesterday, I don't like you can automate a lot today, right? You can automate pull figures from the networks and put it on a spreadsheet and make a fancy dashboard that shows you all the numbers. Um, I I appreciate that, but every day I go through each one of the campaigns that I'm running every morning, and I manually write down, or I shouldn't say manually, I manually enter them into a tracking sheet that I have. And I feel like that just really helps me be in it and not just kind of look at it and forget it. So I know exactly what's going on and where things need to be adjusted. And then it's just, I like to consume a lot. That's the way my brain works, is like Legos. Like I'll consume things from everywhere. Like not just like, the info world, for example. I'll consume stuff from e-commerce. Consume stuff from brick and mortar. I've got old Dan Kennedy stuff. I've got a whole box of swipe file stuff from the last 20 years of all these
Wow.
marketing things I've just collected, and I'll go back and I'll read through that, and my brain will just bring these things together and be like, oh, here's an idea for this, here's an idea for that. And yeah, so just keeping up with those three things, I think is what does it for me, or what
Amazing.
helps.
So you had mentioned earlier that when someone was asking you to run or help them with their business, you said something to the effect of, you buy that course and I'll run the ads for you. I think the
Hmm.
resourcefulness that you have, even though you don't have the experience or the testimonials or the case studies or even the money to invest, you've been able to barter or even leverage your time, sweat equity, to
Hmm.
be able to learn, like you said, something that someone else paid for. And then, tell us more about that, because you were able to take nothing and make gold from that. Were you able to help that business grow with the Facebook ads?
Yeah, that we were there. We had some pretty good success there. Not any home run type of stuff, but it got my feet wet. I got what I wanted out of it, which was to start to build a skill set. They got what they wanted out of it. Out of it was just to be able to get in front of potentially more customers, and get a couple of deals out of it. And the funny thing is when I start doing that, you know, once again, I think that people lose sight of like the power of just being in the right circles and knowing the right people and being resourceful to them. I don't mean like the opposite of, I can't think of whatever resourceful is, where you're just always asking instead of giving,
Mm,
right? I think people notice other people that are givers first,
mm,
and that giving's from a genuine place, and I was really genuinely trying to help that person. And of course I was getting a course out of it, but that person was so impressed with that they told other people around me, and then naturally other people were coming to me and they're like, hey, can you do the same thing for me? And I was
mm,
like, sure. Which led to other introductions. Like, for example, I had a guy come to me, he owned 3 insurance companies, and he was like, we want to try some marketing stuff. He's like, I don't really know what I want to do, but is that something you could help me out with? And I was like, sure. And he's like, well, you know, what's it cost? What's it going to cost me? Or what's your fee? Right. And part of being an entrepreneur is trying to work all that stuff out. Right. So I told him a number and he was like, yeah, I don't know about that. And I said, okay, where most people would stop and maybe turn down the deal, I just said to him, and this all came from God, I just said to him, hey, there's more than just a monetary reward. I was like, what else would really help me is if you introduce me
mm.
to 3 or 4 other business owners that are like you, that are ambitious, that have good businesses, and that actually want to do marketing. If you can do that, then instead of me doing it for this amount, I'll do it for this amount. And he was like, done. And he pulled out his phone, brought up 3 business owners, sent them a message, introducing me to them. And yeah, it just got me more introductions to people. So
That's a genius
I think
idea,
that's super
that you
important.
can lower the investment at the cost of them opening their network so that you can
Right.
generate more leads to more business. You were asking earlier, what's the opposite of someone who's giving, who is selfless? We call
Mm,
them people who are getting, selfish, time vampires, tire kickers, manipulators, people
yeah.
who really waste your time.
Mhm.
And we have no business working with people like that because, you know, we want to help people who want to get helped, and we want to work with people that we like that can also, you know,
Right.
impact more people. Who are some of the people or mentors who helped shape your marketing and your ability to be so good at what you do?
Yeah, a couple people. First, I mean, Dan Kennedy, that was probably my first exposure. I mean, it
Mhm.
even goes further back than that. I'll tell you a quick story. So I was 14 years old. I told you I was living with my grandparents part-time. I had this weird habit of staying up late at night and watching infomercials. I don't know why it
Really?
was, but I would, yeah, and I found them fascinating, and I would never say I'm a sales guy. Um, I don't actually like to sell, even though I do, but, you know, that's not my first choice. My wife's more of the salesperson. She can sell ice to an Eskimo.
Nice.
But, yeah, so, you know, I was watching this infomercial, and it was, how to buy property with no money down, and it was by Carlton
Mm.
Sheets. And so I borrowed my grandma's credit card and
You
I
did?
ordered this program. I did. And when it showed up, my grandma was obviously not happy when she found out, and I got in a lot of trouble for that, but she let me keep it. And I
Wow.
devoured that thing. And in that thing was he made a resource to Dan Kennedy. And I was like, who's this Dan Kennedy guy?
Ah.
So I went and I started getting books from Dan Kennedy. And that's kind of what built on that, you know, that night in the basement there. And then along the way, you know, I had some good mentors, a guy online by the name of Bobby Stocks, and his business partner, Rob. You know, they helped me in my next phase of growth, which was just building that skill set of Facebook ads and then learning about business. So I'm super appreciative of those two guys. It's yeah, Bobby Stocks and Rob Sakale.
Mm.
You know, I was a part of their mastermind for probably over a year.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and then after that was the guy who brought me in first to Cardone, Jason Stogsdale. You know, he was a great mentor to me. And then my business coach slash other marketing mentor, and I honestly don't know his last name to this day. Um, I just, you know, his name is Jay, and everybody would refer to him as Jay Bird, Bird. I don't even know if he's on social media, but that guy is, he's like a business savant. He's got a crazy story in that he's like a recluse and doesn't like to come out of his house. But
Really?
that guy, yeah, he's crazy. He spent like more than $300 million on YouTube alone. He like worked at Apple for a while, and
You say
then
like $3
like
million
was
in YouTube ads?
yeah, uh-huh. He's just kind of an underground legend. So yeah, he mentored me for quite a while. And he's the one who told me that I needed to, you know, get in a situation where I could manage the P&L. You know, and he's mentored me over dinner and stuff like that. So yeah, Jay's been a blessing in my life as well.
That's so interesting that we have these business savants that are like in their homes that don't come out, that, you know, like you said, they're underground legends. We have no idea. We have no
Yeah,
idea. So, you know, when you say that, don't judge a book by its cover, you know,
right.
I was talking to you just before this call and I was like, okay, your landing page doesn't really have a call to action, doesn't have any testimonials, doesn't really have a
Hmm.
video, doesn't have a lot of things that, you know, we would look for in success. And then, you know, out of the cuff, you just casually say, oh yeah, you know, I help market Grant Cardone's businesses and blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, wow. Okay. I totally misread that. And, you know,
that's all
that's
right.
why that's wild. Um,
Mhm.
so take us behind the scenes of scaling 10x Health to 3 million a month. What were like like if you can name 3 critical moves?
Hmm. Three critical moves there. You know, the first one was just analyzing the data, right? You know, uh testing and then interpreting and then making your best hypothesis on that data and then testing again to see if it's right. Um I'm sorry, what was the actual original question? Three things for what? Three bottlenecks
Three
or
critical moves to scale 10x health to 3 million a month. And I think you said it was at 1.5, so you basically double that.
yeah, that's been on a huge growth since I started that project. Yeah, the other thing is just nailing the messaging. And then when you hit a home run, leaning into it. I think I've had 3 ads in that
Mhm.
account that I've
Mhm.
spent over $1 million on,
Wow.
right? So, but it took a lot of testing to find that, to find those 3 ads. So, I'd say one of my gifts that God's given me is like, I can look at something like a video and I can just know, okay, like if I just take this part that's maybe buried in the video and move it to the front, right? And then I don't know, have you ever used a script?
Uh, I've seen it I've used it very little, but I've seen it in action, yeah.
Yeah, maybe this will be a good visual for like kind of how my brain works is like in Descript when you pull it up and you upload a video, it'll bring up the transcript from the video so you can see all the lines. And so when I watch something like I can see a line and then the way you edit in Descript is you can like just erase lines, right? And then it'll chop it and edit it, or you can take a line from the end of the transcript and move it up, and then it'll, edit it accordingly. Like that's kind of how my brain works. So being able to pinpoint these things that I see and then mix them around in a different way. Like one of those videos I spent over $1 million on, it was clips from 3 separate videos that I watched, and I was like, okay, these are all extremely good lines. I'm gonna piece them all together to make one ad and then and then let that rip.
So that's amazing. That's fascinating. So $1 million winning ad, you're saying you saw 3 separate videos that Grant Cardone had, and you saw what other people didn't see or couldn't see, and you took those 3 clips and you stitched them together, or?
Yeah, stitched them together.
So, if you could take down, let's say, the principle or the framework of a $1 million winning ad, that's a lead magnet right there. If you want the framework for the 7-figure or $1 million winning ad, what would that look or sound like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything new that hasn't been said before, but I would describe it as, right, you need a killer hook,
Mhm.
right? Your first 3 seconds are the most important. And with a lot of the clients that I work with that aren't as experienced as like Grant, right? They waste, like, I got a client in the real estate space, and when I first started working with him, he would every video he would say, "Hi, I'm Robert from so and so."
Mm,
And I was like, dude, we're wasting the most valuable real estate in this video by you doing that. I really need you to stop doing that. People will know who you are. Trust me,
mm,
because they will see the video. They'll go to your Facebook page. They'll look up your business. And if you really need to have your name and your business name in the video, we'll just put it towards the end. Right. But we need the first 3 to 6 seconds, right, to have a good hook. And then the other part of that is then the hook has to lead into an intriguing story, right? And then you can have a call to action. And then I would say the next thing, which is also very important, is you need to show, not tell, right?
mm,
Show, not tell. So anything you have to think of, how can I demonstrate what I'm speaking about, whether that's B-roll, whether that's whiteboard, whether that's using a prop, right? Show, don't tell. So when you combine all those 3 things, a great opening hook, a great story, and then showing and not telling, then I think you have a $1 million ad.
I feel convicted that my podcast opening needs to be changed now. Because I'm saying the same thing over and over again. No, and I mean this as a student learning. And I
Mhm.
don't say I've arrived, and I never will arrive. So if I'm a student, then I'm constantly leveling up and open to
Yeah.
learning from anyone. So I I do like several podcasts where like 150 plus episodes, and I say the same thing over and over and over again. But and it's not perfect, and maybe it's not even that good. But I have the same script where I say, hey, my name is such and such. This is what I do. This is who I help. How would you, or what would you advise for a killer opening hook, maybe a powerful story, a CTA, and show not tell on a podcast intro using that framework?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I
Mhm.
would do a call out. I might do a call out. If you're an entrepreneur who's, running a business, doing anywhere from whatever your target audience is, $1 million to 5 million a year.
Mhm.
This is the Sales Ninja podcast where we talk about scaling and marketing and bottlenecks in businesses that are trying to grow from $1 to $5 million and the challenges they face, something like that. You could do what works really good is like a negative hook,
Mm.
those types of things. And you can play around with like Chat GPT to help you think of good ways to do it. But like, for example, like for 10x Health, right? We're running a special right now to get one of their gene tests. And so I just shot a simple UGC video of myself walking outside, and I said, if you're thinking about getting or I said, stop. If you're thinking about getting a methylation test, don't do it until you watch this video. Right. I'd have to think about how you'd apply that to a podcast because, they're already showing up, wanting to learn something. But, maybe it could be something like, uh, you know, mm, if, you know, uh, if you're a business owner who's doing $1 million a year in revenue and you want to grow to 5, and you think you have a marketing problem, uh, or you think you have a sales problem, then you need to watch this video because
Mm.
I guarantee you don't have a sales problem. You have a marketing problem.
Mm.
Because usually that's the bottleneck, right? Is
Mhm.
marketing first, then sales, right? So, and then operations, leadership, etc. So,
Beautiful. I put you on the spot, and hopefully
yeah,
put you to work. So in real
yeah,
time. This is the thing about the Sales Ninja Show podcast, right? We get some people that are incredibly gifted and skilled at what they do, and the ability to do it live is sometimes some of the best tests to put people, under pressure. So when they're doing this day in and day out, it's just a matter of like, hey, I just need a couple of seconds or moments to think this through. And I think you said it well. You're constantly testing, and you're
hmm
analyzing, and you're interpreting, and we don't know if you'll get it right the first time. It might take a year. It might take 100 campaigns to find the winning grand slam ad, which gives you the best ROAS. So let's see. How do you decide when to double down on a campaign or cut spending? It's a simple question, but I think there's a more complex answer we can find gold nuggets.
yeah. I mean, I think it's you tracking, right? Looking at your numbers, not only every day, but what patterns are emerging on over a week, over 2 weeks, maybe even over 30 days. Um, I like to make decisions within a 7-day window,
I was going to ask
maybe
you.
sometimes a 14-day window,
Okay.
rarely a 30-day. But yeah, but I mean, you'll know it. Like, so like one of the ads for 10x Health that I was running, it's still running now, but that I first started running in April. I mean, that thing, it exploded out of the gate. And we were seeing crazy return on it. And so it was just a no-brainer, like, hey, I think there's a window of opportunity here. I don't know how long it's gonna last. And I went to the chief revenue officer that I report to, and I said, hey, I wanna increase the budget on this. Can I have permission to do it, more than my normal tolerances? And they got me with a company that size, there's more than one decision maker involved. So they got me with the VP of, I think, of accounting or finance.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically like, well, how much money do you want? And I was like, well, this is the number I want. And they were like, and I had done my homework, right? So I had something to show them. I was like, hey, here's what it did yesterday, the day before, this day. I'm like,
Yeah, beautiful.
we gotta take advantage of this. And I was like, here's my plan moving forward. I'd like to increase the budget every day, this amount of money. And they were like, okay, we like that plan. You got the green light. And we did that and went on a crazy ride for the next, I think, like 60 or 90 days
Wow.
with that ad. Yeah, it was fun.
So I know this is subjective, but let's talk some numbers and KPIs if you don't mind. So when you're running a campaign to see if it's a winning campaign, like the question was, when do you double down on it or cut spending? So you said there's a 7 to 14 day window versus a 30-day window. What kind of numbers, and this could be a ballpark, are you looking for in terms of ROAS, CPL, CPA? Like what numbers will fit in the KPI that says, hey, we found something, and you're going to the VP of finance and the CRO?
Yeah. I mean, we have certain KPIs that we have to fit. I could tell you, like the numbers I did last month, I'm doing that, at above a 300% ROAS.
What?
So, yeah, which
That's
has been
insane.
pretty crazy. Yeah, it is insane, especially for a health company. For some of Grant's other stuff, it's just different on KPIs. But what I'm looking for is this. So you have your front end KPIs and then you have your back end KPIs. And so what I mean by that, like front end is like, what is the platform showing you, how much did you spend? Okay, how many impressions did you get? How many clicks did you get? Right? What was your cost per click? And then what was your click-through rate, right? So if all those numbers are in line, right, and within a certain range, so for example, like just a basic rule of thumb, you want to see your click-through rate higher than 1%. That's kind of like an industry baseline, right? But there's caveats to that, but without getting in all the weeds, then now you're going to your back end numbers or to your funnel numbers, right? Or your page numbers, wherever that traffic is going to. How is that traffic converting on at that destination? So, how many people are hitting the page? How long are they staying on the page? How many people are in the case of 10x Health, how many people are adding to the cart? How many people are purchasing? What is that conversion rate? Okay, and then you'll get a baseline there. And then so now when I come in the next day, I know, all right, here's the baseline. How are we doing, compared to that baseline or that North Star? And then making adjustments for there. Are we improving or are we going backwards? And then sometimes, you start going backwards and you maybe just go backwards for a day or two. And then there could be other times where, we had a situation where we went backwards a lot for like a week. So then I was like, okay, what's broken here? What's wrong? And it ended up being a tracking issue, not necessarily an ads issue, but all those things. If you're not looking at if you think of steps on a stair, if you're not looking at each step along the way, then you can't properly diagnose, where the break is so that you can fix it. Then it becomes you're just grasping at straws or throwing stuff against the wall and hoping you're right. Like, for example, I'll give you another example, like reviewing the numbers one day, right? All the front end numbers were great, but then the back end numbers, the conversion rate had been cut in half. And so I said to the other person that I work with, that is the manager there, I said, "Hey, did you guys make a change to anything on the page?" And they're like, "Yeah, we implemented whatever it's called, GPRD compliance or whatever, the little consent that you have to have on there. They're like, we turned that on." I was like, "Well, just a heads up, that cut the conversion rate on the page in half. So then they had to go and get with uh, the team that handles that and
Like
implemented
compliance.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily compliance. It was more of a like a code problem, right? The way that they had
Oh, I
code
see.
on the page. Yeah,
I
so
see. I
they had
see.
to get with them and change that, and then get that figured out. So yeah, never would have known that if you weren't
Interesting. So
following it
you're
all the way down.
yeah. So you're tracking front end and back end KPIs, which is
Mhm.
amazing. And the results that you've been able to get are phenomenal. I know. Oh gosh, we're already. This is so much fun, and we're always running out of time here.
It is
So
fun.
we'll have to do a part two because every person I'm talking to, there's so much amazing things that you guys are doing. So let's shift to faith, purpose, and kingdom, because this is something that's important to you and myself as well. You work with
Mhm.
ministries, men's groups. How does faith influence your business decisions? And you might be working in a company that is, a mixed bag of people, and that's fine. How do
Yep.
you practice faith in the marketplace?
Yeah, great question, right? Well, first, I mean, my prayer every day is that people would see Jesus and not see me,
Mm,
first, right? So I think that the way that shows itself, and it's funny because you know the generation I grew up in, you said please, thank you, those types of things, and those things, as small as they are, they're far and few between in the world today. So,
mm,
just doing that with people, I think goes a long way,
huge. Yeah, I
and is
agree.
a way, for you to do that. And then it goes back to something you said earlier, about manipulation,
Mm,
right? And not trying to manipulate people to get what you want, right? And there can be a very fine line uh there, but just approaching it with a heart of, you know, I want to do um I want to do what's right, right? Whether it's right for the person, whether it's right for the business, and kudos to, Grant, in the culture that he's built there. There is a lot of controversy around, from a faith perspective around Grant and his beliefs. But the if you put all that stuff aside, the culture there is the best culture that I've ever been around. Um, and the analogy I use is like it's like, a basketball game or a soccer game, right? Like the players, like no one cares if they're the person who shoots the winning shot. No one cares if they're the guy that has to pass, make the inbound pass, or even if they're the guy who has to sit on the bench and just cheer the team on. They just want to win,
mm,
right? And what does that look like? Like everybody's there to help everybody else. If you need something, it's not a no, I'm not going to give that to you because, I'm, trying to get a new position, or I'm going to hold back, or whatever underlying thing that's going on there. They've done a great job. Grant, Jared, Sherry, the rest of the execs, of building this culture where people want to come in and they want to contribute in there, and there isn't an undercurrent of selfishness, or what am I going to get out of this. If you come in and you're a selfish person, or everything's all about you, or you're entitled, you're gone literally the next day. They do not tolerate that one bit, and that's something that I really appreciate as a person of faith. That type of culture where they want people to get help and feel like they're being helped. So yeah.
amazing, amazing. Um, that is very, and we'll do that in the next podcast. That creating that
Okay.
culture is so powerful, yet so hard, and for many people and many businesses and many companies are not good at doing that. And that's a big gaping hole and opportunity for those of you who are listening to create a healthy culture that creates that impact and that wealth. I'm going to go into lightning round, which are short, rapid questions that I want you to give answers to, and then we'll land this plane because I want to respect your time. So first thing that comes to your mind with one marketing tool that you cannot live without.
Dang, one marketing tool I can't live without. Oof. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, it would have been the Dan Kennedy newsletter.
Okay.
But an actual tool?
Yeah. Do you have something that you use for Facebook ads or like for our copywriting?
Yeah, I'd probably say, I mean, this is a terrible answer, but maybe Canva.
Okay. Do you not use anything for like Facebook ads? I know I'm dating myself here, but back in the day with Sam Ovens with consulting.com, or I don't know if it was him. Anyways, there was some software, I can't remember what it was called, but it was able to create a permutation of ads in real time where you would have like 100 different ads and it could split test them. I can't remember what that was called, but
yeah, I don't remember either. And I think they went out of business. They either went out of business or they closed their doors.
So you're creating them all manually, or do you have some sort of software that can create, quote unquote?
No, I'll usually create them manually. Or I'll have depending on what it is, like I got a few juniors or people that help me now.
Okay.
So I'll have them give them instructions on what to do.
There's a SaaS idea for you right there. With your genius of doing millions and millions of dollars and generating 300% ROAS, is creating a software with developers and AI of a software that can kind of reproduce your IP in your brain to create winning campaigns, and people would pay for that. In my opinion,
King GPT.
Yeah, boom, it is born. I love that. King GPT, which is like the best ads fit for a king.
Yeah, someone already bought the domain.
Oh, do they already?
No, I mean someone watching this is gonna go buy the domain.
Unless you get it after this one. Favorite ad platform right now?
Yeah, by far Meta, since they're not as restrictive as they were in the past.
Okay. TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok is good, especially if you're doing like e-commerce and live shopping. A lot of info stuff has been hard to get to run and work on that platform.
Okay. How about LinkedIn or YouTube?
Yeah, I like YouTube videos. Though any platform where you can serve video is great. I like LinkedIn. There's certain uses for it. LinkedIn, like their cost per clicks are super high, like 3 to 4 times higher than what you'll find on Facebook. But that's just because the targeting is so good. Like, like for grants, sales training, like I can target the CEOs of companies, right? So, yeah. So I mean, worth it, right, to be able to target them, but you better have your stuff dialed in if you're paying, 10, 12, $15 a click.
Gotcha. One word that describes how you run campaigns.
One word. Fearless.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. And then routine in one sentence.
I'm sorry, what? In one sentence?
One word. A morning routine in one sentence.
Morning routine. Devotions, gym, prepping for the day.
Okay. Okay, great. So there's a couple of ways that you guys can connect with Mike, and he's done amazing work. And you guys can see it through his landing page. I'm going to give you guys a couple of links. He is an expert at growing and scaling, and he also has a King Family Consulting business and has helped grow multiple 7 to 9 figure brands. And I also will share with you guys a couple of links on the kingfamilyconsulting.com landing page, as well as you can connect with Mike on Facebook, on Instagram, and also on LinkedIn. And just to let you know, Mike, as a man of faith, also brings a kingdom-driven approach to business, focusing on impact, stewardship, and clarity. So thank you so much for your time, Mike. And it was a great pleasure to meet with you and to hear of these amazing stories from your traumatic upbringing to overcoming those adversities and coming out on top, being the son of the Most High King. And appropriately, your name is Mike King. Any last words for those who are looking to grow and scale beyond 6, 7, 8, and 9 fingers?
Any last words? Yeah, what's old is new again, and nothing's off the table. Test everything, no matter how wild, dumb, stupid you may think it is.
Okay, so there's no idea that's out of the ordinary that you can test, and you never know till you try, right?
Yeah, one of the things for 10x Health that converted really well was just a picture of the box that one of their tests comes in next to a log stump. And a lot of people in the company hated it, but they, I could keep running it because it kept converting so well.
Really? That's so
Yeah.
bizarre.
You
You never
never
know,
know.
right? Okay. There you go. So you guys never know until you test. So know your numbers, interpret them, make sure that you test them, and you never know when there's a winning campaign. I mean, you have all these ridiculous things on TikTok and things that go viral that you never would have imagined in a million years would go viral, and people become these overnight successes. So again, Mike, thank you so much for your time and for your just sharing all your gold nuggets. Looking forward to the next podcast episode. So everyone who is listening, if you guys are looking to grow and scale and beyond 7, 8, 9 figures, and you are a good candidate, comment podcast if you want to be the next Sales Ninja Show podcast guest. And thank you guys so much for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. Here, our mission is to help you break the cycle of generational poverty, and we're looking to break that for 1 million people. So thank you once again, Mike, and we will talk to you on the next podcast. Take care for now.
Thanks, Jay.
Okay.